Hello everybody, this is Alberto Kennedy, aka Grimoire. Today's video is about psychic children. And this video was suggested by one of my friends on Facebook, Christina Cullen. She wanted to know about psychic children. So this is my information that I have, and I'm going to be delving into my notes. Psychic children. How are children psychic? Well, the secret to that is we're all psychic. We're all naturally psychic and empathic beings when we're born, even before we're born. You know, before we're actually born, when the child is developing, there is a rapport, there is a connection that with the mother, because the child is a part of the mother. You know, so there's this empathic connection with the mother, and through the mother, the world around them. So we're all naturally empathic and psychic. It's only when we're born and we're living our life, and when we're going through a socialization process, you know, as children, we go through a socialization process, the process of growing up, the process of learning the rules, you know, learning how to interact in the physical world. Um, we are learning so much information as a child growing up, that our abilities naturally fall to the background. They fall into the subconscious mind and they become buried or dormant. So we don't really lose our abilities as we grow up. They just become dormant. Um, the signs that you can tell if a child is psychic, one of the key signs is night terrors. Now, night terrors, there's a myriad of reasons why a child would be going through night terrors. Let's just put it out there. But it is also a telltale sign that that child might be seeing things that are not physically present. There's things that exist around us on a spiritual or paranormal level that are not physically visible. They're ethereal. They're intangible. And so children they can pick up on that. They can see, and some of them can actually full blown see something that is not physical, but to them, it's like it's a physical, tangible thing. You know, it's physical and tangible to them. And so children, like for example, imaginary friends. Sometimes it's psychological, and it's a natural a state that children go through when they're lonely or when they need friends, and that's, it doesn't mean, oh, something's wrong with your children. No, that's not it. It's perfectly natural to have an imaginary friend, but sometimes in those cases, the imaginary friend could be in fact a spirit or something living without a physical vessel. Now, back to night terrors. Night terrors kind of goes hand in hand with imaginary friends, because you would think from your perspective, adult perspective, and not being psychically aware or spiritually aware, you would say, okay, what is creeping out my child? He must have watched something on television. He must have heard a scary story. Not all the time. Night terrors can be when a child is seeing things or is going through a paranormal event, and it's freaking them out because they don't know how to control that ability. They don't know how that ability fits in the physical world around them, because they're being taught during their socialization process that there is okay behavior and then there is not okay behavior. And so when they're seeing something spiritual, it's freaking them out because it doesn't adhere to the game plan of normalcy, because this ability is not normal, because it's paranormal. But the child doesn't know that. So it's creeping them out. And sometimes the spirits or the dead can see that a child is open in terms of their ability is on. So they try to communicate. They're trying to seek help. And they don't understand that that child is not the one. Just because that child has abilities doesn't mean they know how to use it. But when you're on the other side, things get lost in translation, and they'll go to the nearest light that they can see. And children, psychic children, have a tremendous amount of light. Even psychics and psychic mediums have a tremendous amount of light. Um, Hypersensitivity is another one where they're empathic. Remember, it's a dual-edged sword. Psychic ability goes along with empathic abilities, hand in hand. Um, and children have both. They can feel, not just see and know, but they can feel things that are not physically present. And when they can feel things, they can feel what their parents are feeling. Sometimes, if their ability is really on one, they can feel somebody miles away. They are open, and it becomes a challenge to control that, to keep that in check. Um, Highly developed senses, hearing, seeing, intuition, empathy, psychic ability. Even, now get this, some children are so highly psychic that they are psychokinetic. Psychokinetic means they can actually affect physical matter with their mind. Um, and that's along the lines of poltergeist activity, where the poltergeist is in fact an energy being that was created through uh, us, or through a child that's going through something traumatic, and all that energy, all that pent up energy, has become a being in of itself. Psychokinetic entity, or poltergeist. Psychokinetic energy not always turns into a being. Sometimes it's just flares, like things happen around the child. The child breaks stuff without even touching something. He can just be brushing something lightly, and all of a sudden it breaks, or something happened. That's psychokinetic energy that child has. We lose this too as we grow up. Which is sad, because if you knew how to control it and whatnot, how epic would that be? Um, some of us actually do. Um, Now, what you can do to help your child during this process is pretty easy. And I'll discuss that right now. What can parents do to help their children who are psychic? Um, there's a number of things you can do that's relatively easy. Keep in mind, a child who will exhibit signs of being psychic or empathic will exhibit these signs in their preteens to teen, you know, um, from 9 to 13 years of age. It's from 9 years old to 13 years of old. That's when these abilities tend to crop up. For those who are very developed psychics and psychic mediums, uh, and of this sort, their abilities will be on fire in terms of just active earlier than that, like around 5 years old or even younger. Okay. So, the best thing you can do as a parent, uh, let me just stress this and throw this out there. It's something that we all do. When we listen to people, we listen with the intent to respond. The danger with that is that brings with it judgment. You're already listening with the intent to respond, so you already are coming across as the other person is wrong. Okay, so with children, they can sense this. Psychic children can sense this. When you want to help a child that's psychic, keep the communication lines open without judgment, because they can feel it and they can sense it, no matter how you omit it or try to hide it. Be honest with them, but also listen with the intent to understand. This is very important, because when you're trying to understand the child, when they're explaining themselves or telling you something, they feel safe. And then that helps them share more of what they're going through with you. And knowledge is power. So you need to know exactly what's happening and how your child is feeling for you to help them internally, and to help them internally process what's going on if they are in fact psychic. And also, this is just a method that helps children who are psychic and who aren't psychic, which is awesome. You can use it either way. Listen with the intent to understand, then respond. you know um, to help your psychic child, or to help any child who's psychic, you want to empower them. You don't want to shame them for having night terrors. You don't want to shame them for being able to feel things that are not physically present, seeing things that are not physically present, knowing things that they would have no way of knowing. You know, too many times children who have these abilities are shamed, they're singled out, they're penalized for having these abilities. And so not only do these abilities become dormant, but now they have a resentment towards the world around them, because they're being made to fit a mold that is not for them, So empower them by basically, if they're having night terrors, explain to them that they are the one in control, that their voice matters, that they have to be strong in the sense that they can say, hey, I am not open for business. I am not dial-a-psychic. I'm too young for this right now. And you cannot be affecting me in the way you are. He has to talk, the children have to talk out loud to the spirit, or when they're afraid of something, to put them on blast and say, you can't be here. You cannot be here, and I want you to leave. When you empower your child, saying it's okay to tell people, hey, you can't do this. This is not okay. Especially when you're afraid, or somebody's making you afraid, speak up. And when you empower your child to do that, that's excellent. And there's a myriad of ways you can do that. Like if a child is afraid of the closet, well, with the child, walk with them to the closet and say, okay, now I want you to tell them to stop bothering you. And then have the child say it, stop bothering me. I'm trying to sleep. I don't like being afraid, and I don't like you making me afraid. That's teaching them, hey, it's okay to establish boundaries. When you teach a child to establish boundaries, that works for spirits, that works for bullies, that works for adults, stranger dangers. This works. And you're empowering your child, or a psychic child. And I think that's awesome. You empower them. They have power. It also helps them with their emotions. Oftentimes in our socialization process, we grow up and we are taught that, don't be over emotional, that's too girly, or don't do this because, you can't be mad all the time, or you can't exhibit emotion. Oh, what are they, robots? No. Of course they can exhibit emotions. Emotions are part of life. Emotions is what propel us in life. I'm sorry if I got a little testy. It's just that I went through this as a child, as a psychic child myself. Emotions matter. One time my niece had an outburst. I'll give you an example. And my niece is psychic, very sensitive to spirituality and whatnot. Well, she had an outburst with me, and after I corrected that behavior, I talked to her, and then I basically said, it's okay to be angry with me. You have every right to feel your emotions. I said this and I do this because I want to protect you. I want to make sure you're okay, and I'm not doing this just because I want to make your life miserable. No, I'm doing this because I'm protecting you, and I'm doing this because this is the right thing to do. You don't have to agree with me, but you're going to do it. And she laughed, whatnot, and I said, are you still mad with me? She goes, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, it's okay, boo-boo. Can I still get a hug? She gave me a hug. So she understood that, boundaries are very important, but so is feeling your emotions. Feeling your emotions is very important. Talk. It's all about communication. Communication is 100% part of helping a psychic child. Um, Ask them why. You know how children are always going through that phase of why, why, why. Well, you have to do that. And when you do that, you're helping them analyze themselves. Well, why'd you do that? Then they have to respond and they'll give you an answer, and then you're helping them own their actions, own their feelings, because they matter. And you're teaching them with this, they matter. So when you're asking a child why, it's because you're interested. You want to know their methodology. You want to know what's the method to their madness, And that's good because then you're teaching them that anything they do, anything they think, there has to be a reason for it. And you're helping them with develop self-analytical, you're helping their self-analytical process. This is key, especially when you're dealing with a psychic child. These are some of the things that help. I hope they helped you. I hope they answered some questions. Let me know if you have any more questions and I will do a follow-up to this video. Okay, bye. Oh, and I want to bring light to dark places. So if you have questions or topics, let me know so I can discuss them in my videos, my future videos. Subscribe to my channel, Grimoire Aku, and YouTube. And thank you for everybody that watches my videos. I'm just trying to help as best I can with what I know and what I do. Okay. See you guys. I'll holler.